As a fan of Philosophy Superfoods, I followed founder Sophie online and wondered, how does she do it all? Raw food nutritionist and raw food chef, mom, wife, entrepreneur, yoga instructor, creator, Sophie does it all while staying real. Let's find out more about how she has grown her superfood brand in the next 30 minutes. Oh, I'm back. Okay, it's episode 107. You're watching YFE Chat Live, the live show that happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on YFElive.com. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Oval Eye TV. Oval Eye produces or believes in building community through shared experiences. We produce professional live webcasts that bring tribes together. And by MailChimp. MailChimp is the best way to design, send, and share email newsletters. You can get started today at MailChimp.com for free. And of course, don't forget to sign up for YFE's mailing list at YFE.me/mailed-it. That is the best way to stay in the loop with everything YFE, especially as everything gets so scattered across different social networks. My hangout place is generally the email list and Instagram. So if you're not following us on the email list, go check out our Instagram account at YF Entrepreneur and under the hashtag YFE Chat. So we're getting the action calendar going at dailyactioncalendar.com. And then if you're a member of the book club, you know that it's put off until June. So we're going to take some time to recalibrate everything. And we're going to do a new kind of setup in June that you can look forward to. It's going to be fun. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with our guest, because I can see her connecting and disconnecting. Sophie, are you on? Well, we'll figure out what's going on with her. Let me tell you a little bit about Sophie. Sophie Jaffe loves to assist others in mind, body, and spirit using happiness and whole organic foods, especially superfoods. I've been a fan, like I said at the very beginning, of hers for some time. You can use the hashtag YFE Chat because we're going to talk to her about her tips for superfoods, for building a business, and of course the health industry. So Sophie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I was just telling people about that I had switched my son's hot cocoa mix to the Cacao Magic recently, and it's been a wonderful experiment because he did not know the difference.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yeah, there's no bad taste, so no, they don't know the difference.
No, it's awesome. And it looks the same too, so it's all good. So Sophie, tell us a little bit. So one of the things that really attracted me to you and to your brand, and I follow you on Instagram and Facebook and all of those different social media areas, but you're not necessarily just selling these superfood mixes. You do a few other things that we'll talk about shortly, but you sell a lifestyle, and I love it when brands do this. They speak to that Simon Sinek, your why, or the Zappos happy kind of experience. What kind of lifestyle are you selling?
Yeah, I think that's really what's the best part about what I do, is that I'm just living as me. I'm living as a vibrant mom. I wear a lot of hats, and I don't hide any of that. I am who I am, and I think there's a way to translate that and share that with everyone. It's all inclusive. It's a healthy lifestyle, but it's about balance and being realistic. I don't like living in extremes. I like to experience the beautiful parts to life and be super healthy and feel alive and vibrant, but it has to come from an authentic place. And I try and help others just live a happy, healthy life by finding a good balance for them. And we're all different. We all need different things nutritionally and from people in their lives, and we all have different constitutions. And I think the most important thing is finding the right balance for each individual.
Okay, so
that's what I'm trying to kind of push is about finding what's right for you.
Well, and everything that you do is very clear, and it's all exactly what you said is what we see in the form of images and the way that you talk about your brand and the way that you inspire and motivate people. Has anyone worked with you on putting together kind of like a brand package and how you present that? Is there anyone on your social media team, or is this just kind of like a Sophie-led thing?
Yeah, I think it's very Sophie-led, and then now as I'm growing, I'm creating more of a team just based on, like, everything that we'll kind of talk about tonight, you'll see happen very organically. Like, we haven't taken any money on, we haven't had any investors. We haven't done it in that way. Everything happened naturally, organically, authentically. And so now we do have a social media team per se. It's, a friend's boyfriend, and he happens to be really experienced in social media. So I hired him, and he gets me because she gets me. And it's kind of like that. It's not at all like, I don't know what the word is, but it's not inauthentic at all, where it's like, create a brand for me and I'll be that. It's just, I am who I am. I'm a mom, and I'm living this lifestyle, and I walk the walk, I walk the talk. And I think they show me the right ways to present it, but I don't have to change or be anything other than who I am. And that's what I really love. And I don't ever want to sell out. I don't ever want to like present something like a facade or something that's not real. So I really appreciate who is on my team, because they really help me push that.
Well, what's really interesting is not only are you presenting this lifestyle, which I feel like I've said this a number of times on the show. I'm always amazed at people that are able to encapsulate what it is that they're selling, that, like for Zappos, the happiness type of an experience in the form of images, and really communicate that out well. I think it's so hard. But another way that you've done this really well is by partnering with other brands that have really reflected what it is that you believe in. And I know that you've worked with Lorna Jane's brand in the past. And for those of you that are across the country, you might not know that Lorna Jane brand, but it's a huge Australian brand that's recently come to the US and is very popular in Los Angeles. And so, apart from Lorna Jane, whom I'm assuming you look up to, are there any other females, and especially in the health industry, that have kind of led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I don't think that I can pinpoint a certain person that has led me to where I am today, but I constantly surround myself with friends who are also colleagues, who are in similar situations as I am, or they have their own businesses, and they inspire me creatively, and they inspire me to be my best and truest self, and then vice versa. So I think it's less of that I'm looking up at someone like a Lorna Jane in Australia, like they do. I think she has a great model, and I love everything that she says and does, and I think it's unique. But I think for me, my friends, a lot of my friends and a lot of people I work with, like my own designer, my web designer, who's also my photographer, she's a close friend, but when we get into that zone creatively, she gets me on such a deep level and knows what I'm trying to show. And that is so inspiring. In 30 minutes, we can do an entire photo shoot of like food and wardrobe changes and everything, because we're so in sync. And I think it's more of like real people who create beautiful art through what they do. So whether it be a photography friend, I have a couple of really great photography friends. My friend Katie Schuller, you'll see on Instagram, has a beautiful, she shoots weddings and she shoots boudoir, and I love being around people who just are doing what brings them joy and they're passionate about, and they happen to be my friends too, and sometimes it happened one way or the other and I don't even remember anymore. Like I don't even remember if I met them, and that's what's so beautiful, is I'm just surrounded by people who surround me that are women every day. So
and you can definitely see that in your Instagram too. You talk a lot about that, and you also showcase a lot of them. And we've had one of your friends on, actually, from Edible, who is an amazing guest. And it's so funny because a lot of you, and I've talked to people that are friends with you, Erin, for example, Erin of former Well in LA. They all have the same kind of mindset that you do, where it's kind of like, just be who you are, be fully alive today. But one of the things I wanted to talk about in that same sense was just the backstory behind Philosophy in the brand and how it got going, because I know a little bit about that. Your mom was sick, right? And
Yep, she had stage 4 breast cancer. That's not really where the whole company started, but it's where Cacao Magic was developed. So the way that the product was developed is that I was making group cleanses for people from all walks of life, and I was at first working in a juice bar, and then I began working for myself. I left the juice bar to do group cleanses on my own out of my kitchen, and after I got pregnant with my second child, Leo, 2 years ago, he's almost 2, I decided with my husband, who was kind of leading me, to just streamline and focus on products, because 2 little kids, 2 and under, it's a lot to handle, and being on my feet and like shopping for clients and running all around town, it was just too much. It was overwhelming, and I had the superfood products, so I decided to streamline and just focus on the products. So I chose the superfood blends at first, and at that point I only really used the Green Dream. But the idea is it's these superfoods that I used myself when I was making a smoothie for my clients or for me. Like everything that I would put in a green smoothie is in the Green Dream. Everything that I would put myself in a chocolate smoothie is in Cacao Magic, and everything I would put in Berry Bliss is in the Berry Bliss. So anything that I would put in one of those smoothies, it like wasn't a complete smoothie unless it had one of those superfoods in it, whether it be protein or chia seeds or something. It wasn't a complete smoothie until unless it had all of those 7 or 8 ingredients. So I was like, why aren't they all in one bag? It would be so much easier instead of buying all these different products and trying to remember the measurements if it was just in one bag. So that's where they evolved. Cacao Magic came right after Green Dream, and it was after my mom had stage 4 breast cancer. It was all over her body, and she started seeing a Chinese medicinal doctor, and a lot of the things that he prescribed are in that, like the reishi mushroom and just all the antioxidants that are used for healing and really are created or they are used and have been used for thousands of years to help prevent and treat cancer.
It's amazing. So, you're treating your mom, and then can I say the clients that you were working with, to name drop, just George Clooney. Who gets to work with George Clooney, which is phenomenal. So, and let's just really fast, because I know I didn't ask you about this beforehand, but how did that client relationship come about, where you're working with more of these like higher end celebrities?
Yeah, so when I first worked with Gerard Butler, which you mentioned before, not in this, but in the email you sent me, I worked with Gerard Butler. That was my first like really high-end celebrity that I worked with. And that came about because I was working at the juice bar in Hollywood, and the owner of the juice bar was like, hey, can you work privately? I don't trust like anyone else. I don't have the time to do it. Do this for me.
I don't have the time to work with Gerard Butler.
He was huge. This trainer, this is the world that I live in. Okay. This is like, it's crazy. And the owner was a personal trainer for all kinds of celebrities. Like he was Brad Pitt's, he's like, oh, Gerard, like you can work with him. I'm busy. I'm busy trading Brad Pitt. Oh my gosh. So he kind of like, I was his right-hand man, and he would like let me do things that he didn't have time to do because he couldn't handle everyone at once. So I started working with him one-on-one, and then I started teaching him yoga, which was a trip. And then he like continuously did several cleanses, like whenever he'd be in town. So that was the first relationship. And that was just from working at the juice bar and building a really great bond with the owner. And he started to trust me, and then he passed that on to me. And then George and Stacy, I actually gave Stacy a cleanse. It's funny, I like forget the exact relationships, but I did a cleanse for Stacy, and then she fell in love with what I was doing. So then she and George called months later after she had done the cleanse and asked if I wanted to do chefing for them. And so it was less about George. I think it was more about her, and that she kind of dragged him into it. And I mean, it was an amazing experience. I was in their house 3 days a week for 8 months up until I had Leo. Yeah. And, and it was surreal, but he's just the most down to earth person. Like when I say it sounds crazy, but he's a completely amazing, kind, down to earth person. So you're just kind of like, hey, what's up? He'd come in and just kind of prop up against while I was like making something crazy. He's like, so what's going into that? Do I want to know? And he's very like a guy's guy,
So this just, I need to move down to LA and like work at a juice bar. I think that sounds like fun. So Sophie, now you mentioned earlier, like you said, you were about to have Leo. You have 2 boys, a husband, and you're running Philosophy. So what does an average day look like for you? Because this is not, I mean, you're shipping products, you're fulfilling, you're overseeing everything. So what does that look like?
So yeah, I'd say Monday through Thursday is kind of like my intense work week, and those are the craziest days. That's when my kids go to school, like preschool. Kai is 3.5, Leo's 1.5. So he just started school last week. So they go to this little school that's walking distance from our house. I drop them off around 8:30. We wake up with them. We take turns waking up, my husband and I. And
I should mention your husband owns a business too.
He does. He is an addiction researcher and has also walking distance from our home, has his own business that he started about a year ago, focusing on addictions and mental health in general. But what he does that's really unique is works with people in a non-traditional 12-step way. So he does all kinds of different things from mindfulness to helping people, if they're eligible, learn how to drink moderately, which is very cutting edge and not like anywhere else, but it's been really successful. It's been a year now, and they've had several dozens of clients who have this works for them. And then they also have lots of abstinence clients, but it's really cool. It's nice. We don't have one modality for healing in anything. We don't have one modality for healing. If you get cancer, why should there only be one way when it comes to addiction? So it's just a new way. It's called alternatives treatment.
And I saw him on, I should tell everyone, I saw him on Larry King Live. You guys have to check it out. It's on Hulu. And they did an interview with him. And it was phenomenal because it really did open your eyes into this whole other area of, how the human brain works and what it is how we're treating people. And it was a really, really fantastic interview. So you guys definitely are kind of the power couple. And we'll talk about how you guys have partnered in just a minute. But so let's, it sounds like you and your husband, and the way that you were very open too about how you're raising your kids and running your businesses. So it sounds like you share a lot of the work together.
We do. We're a team. Like when we start, I think it's funny. We're both like introverted in the fact that we pull energy from within to get recharged. Like we need like quiet time. But I think now that we've been together for so long, we now go to each other also. And like I still forget sometimes that I can pull from him. But the minute that I have an inspiring conversation with him, like we only want the best for each other. And we both believe so wholeheartedly, like I wouldn't even be in the health field at all necessarily if it weren't for him, because he, like almost a decade ago, was the one that said, instead of making nutrition plans and workout plans and yoga plans for all your friends for free, why don't you charge them? And then that's where it started. And like we are each other's best cheerleaders, best everything. So yeah, we're definitely a team. Everything from the kids, he helps as much as he can with the kids. He's a very involved dad, and we both have our own businesses, so it's kind of crazy. It's kind of wacky. But
do you guys keep regular hours where you work, after you end work at 6, that kind of a thing, or do you always just kind of let it flow?
He has, we, like I said, Monday through Thursday are the most intense, at least for me. We have a really great balance where Monday through Thursday, we're kind of full on. Like we don't really take a lot of breaks. Adi has 2 late nights at work where he is there till like 9 o'clock at night. And so I'm home, and usually after I put the kids to sleep, I go right back into work mode. But then we really balance it in a healthy way where we take Shabbat, even though we're not religious. He's from Israel. So they just keep Shabbat whether they're religious or not in Israel. It's just what you grow up knowing. So it's a really beautiful tradition where you just take a break from like Friday night when the sun goes down until whenever as long as we can go on Saturday, we just shut down and we turn our phones off and we don't do work and we just do things that bring us joy and, just like huddle in and have our amazing family and go on walks and just really enjoy each other. And then we feel, rejuvenated and ready to start again. as we creep into Monday. So it's all a balance, like I said from the start. It's just, you have to have that balance, and I think we really work hard. We don't always strike it. Sometimes we go overboard, and we notice it. Like the times that I schedule events for a Saturday, I'm like, oh yeah, I happen to be free on Saturday. I'll just show up and do a demo. I am done. I'm just done, because I need that. We've created this perfect balance, but if we don't actually do it, then it's just too much. We've got too much going on.
Well, and talking about too much going on, you, again, going into the partnership, now not only are you married to this man, but you also work with him, which is an interesting, and we've talked to like your edible friend, and we've talked to a few different guests that have worked with their husband or started the company with their husband. How did that partnership come about? I mean, you've got that partnership going. You have also, and I say partnership loosely, it's technically a joint venture type of a thing. And then also the cookbook. You have a new ebook out too.
I do.
So how did these come about?
Yeah, again, it's really natural. It's really organic. With my husband, he just wanted to start this rehab, and I stood behind him 100%. And that story is even an amazing story, where a year ago, it was right around New Year's, just before New Year's, and he wanted to start this business. And I said, he was working 4 jobs, all of which he didn't like. And he was in his postdoc program and just overwhelmed and overworked and not happy and not fulfilled. And he wanted to start this rehab. And because he's a former addict, whatever you want to call it, and he drinks moderately, and it works for him and it works for our life. And he wanted to help people so that they don't just see one way to do things, which is the 12-step way. So he was like, I don't want to work in this way anymore. What do I do? I'm just burning at all ends. And I said, what do you need from me? What can I do to help you get this dream? Like, what do I do? Like, is it financial? And he said, yeah, it's financial. And I said, okay, how much do you need me to bring in? And at this point, I wasn't really like necessarily taking it that seriously. I was just kind of like, da-da-da, it's fun to sell my products, la, la, la. It wasn't really like, that was my thing. And now it is. And it happened when he needed me to step up to the plate. So I said, how much do I need to make? He told me exactly how much I needed to make. And then within the first month, I did it. And it was just about like creating that and putting an intention out there. And I created it. I manifested it. And it wasn't, it's not necessarily magic and like I'm insane. I seriously put the numbers down and I worked my ass off and I made it happen. And that's how he now is living his dreams, because I pushed hard to help balance our relationship so that I could take on a little bit of what he was doing. So he felt safe enough to do it, to just leap, and so now we're both doing what we love. And I'm just starting to kind of feel like that pressure release. So it was about a real year of just like working my tail off so that he could be in the place he is now.
Well, and I love everything about, so far, a lot of your life has been setting out intentions and working really hard. So you're not just like putting it out there to the universe and saying, take care of me type of a thing. Yeah. But you're very intentional with your life. And I love people, I love guests that are like that, and that they work really hard to make sure that that intention actually comes out and that they keep that positive mindset behind it. I think that's a great testimonial for keeping a positive outlook and working hard. So another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the idea of diversifying income. So you've got this revenue coming in from your superfoods, and like you said, your husband at the beginning of this said, let's focus on this product. And now a lot of YFEs are creating products, or maybe they have one signature service out there and with no products type of a thing. And it becomes pretty hard. Cash flow is a make or break type of a situation. And so how have you diversified your revenue, and what advice would you give for others as far as that goes?
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is what I did, but for me, it was that I had to streamline. I had to just pick one thing. So I had to learn how to say no. That was one of the hardest things for me. And it sounds very cliche, but it's so true. You have to say no. When I stopped working for George and Stacy, my husband said, you have to now say no to anything else like that comes along if you want to just focus on the products, because that's like the way that you're going to be able to get through this. If that's what your intention is, that's the only way you can do it. And I took it, and so people would call and they'd say, I want to do a private yoga session, or, I'll pay you $500 to do this event or whatever. And I just had to say no, 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 no. So a couple of months, I just had to say no in order to be saying yes to this, where I am right now, where I started out with just the 3 superfood powders. And then it's funny, my friend, actually Jenny, lived in London when all of this was happening, when my products were starting. And she's like, I want to do your cleanse. Can't you ship it to me? And I was like, no, it makes no sense. I can't ship you all of the stuff I make in my kitchen. Like, so far away. So I figured out a way. This was like the very beginning. I wish I could find a picture of it because it was so funny. But I just kind of bagged up as much as I possibly could that wasn't perishable and sent it to her to London and designed her a plan. And that's where the 5 and the 14-day cleanse evolved. It's everything unique that you can't just find in any store, along with a plan, a program. So it comes with a booklet full of recipes and tips and some yoga and mindfulness and what to eat when. And it's just full of like your like Bible for 5 or 14 days of everything that you need to do laid out for you, including recipes, and every day is different. And then it also has my superfood blends and little detox soaks that my sister hand makes for the bath, and just a bunch of really great stuff. So that's where the cleanses have developed. So the 5 and the 14 do-it-yourself cleanses. So that's what I do, is the three superfood blends for now, which are also protein powders, vegan protein powders, made of raw, sprouted, beautiful, alive foods. And then the cleanses, the 5 and the 14-day cleanses. So I help people, 4 or 5 times a year, I help different people, depending on what their goals are, cleanse. And I don't really do a lot of other stuff. I don't really push a lot of other avenues. People ask to do like one-on-one stuff, and it takes a lot for me to do the one-on-one because I don't have a lot of extra time and a lot of extra energy.
So let's talk about the growing pains and having lots of energy and focusing. So Was it a year ago or so? I forget when it was, maybe a couple years ago, and you had grown basically to that next level. And at a certain point, your manufacturing or packaging kind of went downhill. What exactly happened, and how did you overcome that?
So, I haven't really overcome that. That's the funny thing. It's not, I haven't actually gotten past that. It's just going to keep happening. So basically, this is one of the hardest things about my company and my area and what I do, is that as I grow out of co-packers. So the people that actually mix, at first I started out in my kitchen with a mixing bowl and a little scale and weighing it and, charging $250 a pound because it was just all handmade in my kitchen. But now I can get bigger quantities, and then I have co-packers who blend it for me, but they need the equipment and all that stuff. So as I grow out of certain places. And it's not like this is on every corner. Like, people don't just co-pack raw superfood powders. So it's been really, really hard. And it's just going to keep happening, I think. Like, as I get bigger, then the minimums for labels get higher and higher. And, you save a little bit of money, but it's like, in the grand scheme of things, 2 years ago when they said my labels to get my bags printed on, it would be like, I don't even remember what the quantity was, but it would have been enough till, at the rate I was selling on that particular day, it would have been like till I was 85 years old, I would have had these bags filling up my house. It's like a funny joke. Like, what am I going to do with them? Where am I even going to store those bags? So I think that's the thing, is it's like, it's more how I handle those things, because it's just going to keep happening, I think, until someone else handles these things for me, and then they're still happening. I think right now, for me, it's more about the way that I handle it. Just knowing, like, in the beginning, I was just like so depressed and so upset, and like, I can't get my product out to anybody. And now it's more like I handle it with more grace, where I'm like, this is going to happen. These things happen. It's how I handle it. I can't fall apart when something like that goes wrong, because it's just that these things happen, and I will find a solution, and the next thing will present itself. But I have to trust that, because the minute I get shaky, I'm the core, I am the company. So if I get shaky with anything and I'm not trusting that everything's going to work out, then everyone else falls apart too. So it's more about the way that I handle it, and less about finding the solution. There really isn't. It's just I find the next company that can help, and then they have their issues, and it's all, this is something I have a feeling I'm going to have to deal with pretty much the entire time.
Well, and I love that advice, trusting that everything is going to work out. And not freaking out, really having that faith. And I think as entrepreneurs, at certain times, that can be really hard for us to do, especially for the young female entrepreneurs out there that are very, aggressive or very, I need to fix everything right this minute. So, Sophie, what advice would you give for everyone that's watching? Any young female entrepreneur out there, what advice would you give her on making sure that her company keeps going, perseveres, and even grows into one that she really, it's her big vision type of a deal?
A couple things. I would say just continue to hold on to yourself, continue to hold on to the vision, write the vision down, what it is you see, what it is you'd like to create, set that intention, and keep making it bigger and bigger. And secondly, I'd say don't ever feel too proud to ask someone for a favor or ask someone to say or do something for you. I think we're all a community, we're all a tribe. I think we all we have to count on each other and know that it all comes back around. And by you giving, there are so many people that have come back around that helped me from the beginning, and now I'm helping them. And it's you just can't be too proud. I think you have to just kind of be really humble and just realize if I want this, I have to be willing to do anything as long as I'm staying true to myself.
I love that. And you know what? All of the brands that I love, that I follow religiously, that I connect with, and that I've said this before, that I want to be best friends with, brands that I want to be friends with, you all have the same type of a mindset where, first of all, you're very clear on what your vision is. Like you said, you set that intention and you keep making sure that it's bigger and you work hard towards it. But you also will do anything to reach that vision as long as your integrity, like you said, is still there. But so yeah, I keep seeing these commonalities. And Sophie, I am so grateful that you came on and talk to us tonight. And hopefully everyone will definitely follow Philosophy online. Where can people find out more about you and your superfoods?
Yeah, so my website's thephilosophy.com, and then on all of social media, we're at Philosophy Mama. So Philosophy with an I-E, and then Mama, M-A-M-A.
Love it. All right, Sophie, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
All right, so everyone, you've been listening to Philosophy founder Sophie Jaffe. Make sure that you check out her website. Like I said, Berry Bliss is an amazing addition to your smoothies, and then Cacao Magic, I've literally added it to every baked good, anything that's sweet, anything in our house, really. It's fantastic. So check it out. Make sure that you follow her on Instagram, like she said, Philosophy Mama. Thank you all for watching live. I'm going to bring Stacy on in just a moment and talk about Sophie and our takeaways. So make sure that you stay on the chat. If you're watching this later on YouTube or iTunes, make sure that you comment below with your takeaways. Otherwise, hope to see you back here next Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Stacy Harris at the Stacy Harris, who is our opener on the show. She's actually going to be hosting since I'm going to have a baby any second, hopefully. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much and have a fantastic Thursday night.